Yeah.
So, surprise, surprise, bunch of APs on my desk, right? Not the first time, not the last time. You guys already know this is my favorite brand. So we're gonna talk about affordability because I get complaints. You guys literally send me emails when you request watches. All my salespeople say the same thing. I get phone calls, WhatsApp, and everybody says the same thing. Look, AP is starting to get away from me. It's becoming unaffordable. Any hot model out there, I'm paying over list. Any of the newer stuff, I'm paying list or more or slightly less, not a humongous discount. And I always, guys, mention to you, look, there's what I call sleepers, which I feel that have room to grow in terms of value. A very important question you guys always ask me, where I always say they're not investments, but you know, there are some watches out there that have room to grow. The second question you guys always ask me is value for your dollar, bang for your dollar, right? I've done separate episodes on that where I showed you, hey, there's a lot of value for dollar, but let's do that within a popular brand. And one more thing I'm going to show you is a bit of a surprise because you guys always ask me about collectible watches. And I'm going to show you once again what a collectible watch looks like as a package in the form of this end of day. And I'll get to that last and spend a little bit of time on this watch. So let's talk about sleepers, right? And what you'll notice here is I brought a navy. So I have the navy, right? You guys should be pretty familiar with this watch. This watch has been around for quite a few years. It is now discontinued. On a personal note, I think it's one of the better looking offshores. I just happen to love the bright blue subdials against the stark white dial with the numbers being blue as well as the blue hornback strap, right? Original retail on this watch when it first came out was in the low 20s and then it quickly went up and then the next iterations of offshores were up to 26.2. This is a watch today that you can pick up anywhere from $17,000 to $18,000. Again, let's do some comparison. Here's another watch, which is a more current offshore that similarly looks the same. Now, this is not the navy. This is the new offshore blue, as we dubbed it. Surprisingly, nobody gave it a nickname yet, right? Why don't they call this guy a Smurf, right? Again, personally, I love the watch. It's a beautiful watch. Notice you'll note the updated ceramic pushers on the watch. This is a newer model, open back. The one thing I absolutely love about it is the addition of the hang buckle versus this awkward deploying buckle that always leaves marks on the side of my wrist, and I'm sure yours as well. But again, beautiful watch. Market price $17,000 to $18,000. Market price $24,000 to $25,000. Now the retail on this thing is already at $29,300, right? Which theoretically, if you think about it, and this brings up another topic, is you can't go off of old retail. So a watch that sold 6-7 years ago and the retail was $21,000, and you have a comparable watch, which is a current offshore that retails for $29,300. You very well have to kind of look at this watch as it also now retailing at $29,300, even though it's not official. It's obviously not on the price list anymore. But nevertheless, I brought the one newer one just to give you a bit of a contrast. Let's go back even further. Let's go back to the original themes. This is what they call the themes dial. It sort of has those glow-in-the-dark markers around. Again, the theme is the same. It's a waffle dial. Markers are the same. The chronograph is the same. Obviously, these pushers are not ceramic. They're actually rubber. Closed back. But again, it's still a beautiful offshore. Nothing has changed about the offshore in years. It's the same 42mm case. And for those of you guys that are going to say, oh, wait a minute, this watch is going to be too big because it's an offshore, well, let me show you a comparison. I happen to be wearing a Royal Oak, which is a 41mm. How big of a difference is here? Obviously, the watch on the right is going to be seemingly a little bit bigger because it's thicker, right? So if I go this way, you'll see what I'm talking about. But as far as diameter is concerned, this watch is only 1mm bigger than this watch. Yet the watch on the left sells for 30 grand. Makes no sense. Now, it was actually Adrian's idea to put this thing on a white rubber strap. I kind of like it. Originally it came on a leather strap. It actually came on a calfskin strap. It wasn't even an alligator. And even back then, people switched that strap out because there were just better options out there, specifically rubber. And speaking of rubber, here's what I think are the biggest sleepers. Of course, before I go back to this, again, this is a watch you're going to pick up around the same price range as the Navy, actually slightly less because the Navy is a bit more popular, right? Rubber Clads. A couple of important things to note. The Rubber Clad is a watch that I believe stands on its own within the offshore line. Why does it stand on its own? Because there was no other offshore like it, right? You had the ladies' offshores with rubber bezels. Those had diamonds, and then you had the men's. At the time that these watches came out, the rose gold offshore was the only rose gold offshore in Audemars Piguet's lineup outside of limited editions. Right? There was no other watch, unlike today, where you have a slew of rose gold offshores, a couple of ceramic variations. You have pieces on a bracelet, you have pieces on straps with gold bezels, etc., etc. You have diamond offshores out there. But at the time this came out, there was no other option for a big rose gold watch from Audemars Piguet outside of this, and then later, of course, the big brick, the pounder, as they called it, that came on a bracelet. One important thing to note about these watches is maintenance. If you're somebody that doesn't wear their watches well, odds are you will bang up that bezel. And this is what people tend to get afraid of. Oh my God, what's going to happen if I bang up this bezel? On a stainless steel offshore, the cost of replacing the entire bezel is $1,200. On the rose gold, last time I checked, it was around $2,400. And the reason for that, believe it or not, if I take off this bezel, the metal onto which the rubber is applied is actually gold here, and it's stainless steel here. I've actually seen some guys try to pull a fast one and order a bezel for the stainless steel watch to slap onto the rose gold when you take it off. It's pretty obvious that somebody tried to pull a fast one, so do check that once in a while if you come across these. Now let's talk about market prices. Any Audemars Piguet rose gold offshore out there is going to set you back $30,000 plus, where this watch is under $30,000. How does that not make sense? And this is why I feel that these are sleepers. Number one, you have to consider the fact that it was the first of its kind, and it was the last of its kind. There's no more rubber clads from Audemars Piguet, right? This is it. They're done, discontinued. There's also a white dial version of this, obviously. So that tells me that a few years down the line, these sort of become those future collectibles. There's going to be less and less of them out there. A lot of them are going to get beat up. Long story short, that's why I think these are sleepers. This, again, same comparable deal like any other older offshore. You're going to be in the mid-teens. And this is the beauty about these offshores and the deals that are still out there. So for any of you guys out there complaining that, oh, I can't buy myself an Audemars Piguet, or you put Audemars Piguet sort of out of sight, out of mind, and told yourself that AP is just not affordable at this moment, I got to look for an alternative. There's always an alternative. And the alternative is go back a little bit. Don't chase the hype necessarily that perhaps you're not in the position to buy, or nor do you want to spend that kind of money. Come back just a few years and you find plenty of deals. And this goes for any brand, not just Audemars Piguet. Now, if you ask me, what would I rather have? This Royal Oak 41mm chrono or this rose gold offshore rubber clad for less money than the cost of this watch? I would always go with this. And this is where sort of that deal comes in. And by the way, for all you guys out there saying this is yesterday's news, it's still an Audemars Piguet on your wrist. It's still a beautiful, every single one of these watches are beautiful. If I had to pick a favorite, I'd probably go with the navy, my personal opinion. So for all you guys that think this is yesterday's news, call me. I'm buying all of these. And I'm trying to buy as many as I can of these because I think sooner than later, these are going to get away from everybody just the same. So enough about that. Let's talk about the end of days. A few months ago, I actually showed you an Audemars Piguet end of days. It was a piece unique in its own, although the watch looked exactly the same. But the reason it was unique was because the actual watch that they used in the movie End of Days. I'm happy to say that after I made that video, that watch literally sold 3 hours after I posted that video. And again, the only difference was there was a slight variation in the reference numbers on the papers of the watch. There was a letter that it came with that it was actually in the movie End of Days, worn by Arnold Schwarzenegger, but overall the watch is exactly the same. PVD case, again, this is not DLC, this is PVD. This is stainless steel with PVD over it. Limited edition of 500 pieces. From afar, sort of reminiscent of the Bumblebee because of the yellow marking and the yellow hands. Old style strap and a very old style tang buckle is what this comes with. Actually, this is the calf strap that you would normally find on the Themes offshore I mentioned earlier. However, the key difference is going to be the lug system on this. Market prices. Let's talk about market price and then I'm going to get into the details. I may have told you the story before where at one point this watch was trading all the way up to $65,000 due to a single collector that decided he's going to corner the market and he's going to buy them all up and then he's going to sell them off at $100,000 a piece. Well, that plan kind of bit him in the ass at the time. The real market price was anywhere from $40,000 to $45,000. He's the one that drove up his own prices. The last watch I sold to him, I sold him for $63,000. And then when the market took a shit post 08, I mean, he was out a whole bunch of money. Case in point, this watch plopped all the way down to the low 20s, and right now it's selling anywhere from mid to high 20s, depending on how complete it is. And that is the last thing I wanted to show you guys, because a lot of you guys, a lot of collectors out there tend to be sticklers of having a watch complete. I've bought and sold these watches many times, and the completeness of them was somewhere in between. Most important thing is that it does not come with a regular AP box. It's not a square box, it's a rectangular box. And predominantly the theme here is going to be all black, rightfully so. Look at the watch, right? So you have a rectangular box, and in it, and this is what's most important, you're going to find a Moonshade Box, as we call it, right? For obvious reasons. Now, there's a bunch of stuff in here. I'll show you that in a second. The Moonshade Box sort of repeats the screws that you see on the bezel, and there's a signature of Arnold Schwarzenegger inside. Now, he didn't hand sign all of these, believe me. Obviously, this is stamped on. You have a few things in here. This is for the additional strap, and this is for a screwdriver. Now, another important thing, you will get a regular warranty booklet, an older style window warranty booklet that looks like this, right? This is a very old school warranty. We're about 5 different warranties ahead right now. Actually, right now we have plastic cards. On top of it, you have a pretty special book, which is this long black book. Again, it has a picture of the watch on top. And if you don't have at least this, it's an issue. This and the Moon Box is probably 2 of the most valuable things in terms of completeness of this watch. The regular warranty booklet, you can get archives for this, but this you cannot replicate. Last but not least, this thing also comes on a Velcro strap, which is also equally as important. It has its own tang buckle just the same. This is where the head of the watch pops in, and this will fit a pretty large sized wrist in the likes of somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger. This additional yellow strap does not actually come with the watch. The previous owners happened to order one of these. This came on the original yellow offshore, the one with the yellow dial. They also came in purple, they came in pink, and green, and light blue. I think I had a couple of those on the show. And believe it or not, this little screwdriver I'm about to pull out of here, you would think, oh, Brian, what's the big deal? I can order the screwdriver anywhere. No, this is the original screwdriver it actually came with. Now, what the hell is so special about the screwdriver is what they did is they actually took a screwdriver and they PVD'd the end of it. All right, so this is the original screwdriver that this watch will come with, so you can change your own straps. So there's, and of course the hang tag, which is, some collectors get pretty anal when it comes to things, and the original hang tag will have the serial number of the watch. And one thing to note is at the end of the serial number is going to be the limited number. So this is serial number E something something something, and at the end there's a 307, which means this is number 307 out of 500. It replicates in the papers, etc. So this is what a collectible watch looks like, right? It's all these little things that add up to the overall appeal of somebody collecting something complete. I've discussed in the past, and I said, you know what, guys, if you really like the watch, who gives a shit? If you can save yourself $5,000 and not have any of this and just have the watch, wear it, enjoy it, absolutely nothing wrong with it. At the same token, I will tell you, because you guys always ask, resale value, resale value. What's most appealing to a collector is what I just showed you here. And oftentimes, it's difficult to find out, because what do a lot of dealers do out there? A lot of dealers finagle stuff, as we call it. The word finagle is actually a legitimate term that we use in the watch industry by taking stuff and piecemealing everything together. I can just as easily take this watch, put it in a regular Audemars Piguet box. I can just as easily only deliver it in one of these and say, hey, nobody knows, not many people know about this black book, this is still a certificate. So therefore, this watch would be with box and papers, right? As far as the screwdriver is concerned, I can give you a regular screwdriver. I got plenty of them on my desk. It's exactly the same screwdrivers, right? So all those little things is something you need to look for. So if you're going to be that anal collector that's going to get out there and collect for the sake of collecting everything complete and look to future value, right? If the watch happens to go up in value, you need to find out, A, what the hell did this watch originally come from? And this is where guys like me come in, because we've been doing this for years, and you can simply ask. You don't have to ask me, you can ask whatever other dealer you may deal with. But again, not everybody out there has the type of knowledge unless you've handled enough of these watches, right? In the very beginning, when I first started out in this business, I'd gotten those finagled watches, right? Wrong strap, wrong buckles, papers not complete, manuals not there, different box, blah, 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 blah. But you got to pay to play, so I learned over time, and it cost me a penny or two, but it doesn't have to cost you anything. All you have to do is ask, and I'll be happy to answer that either on one of my Q&As or just via email. So, sum it all up. You can't get a deal on Audemars Piguet. Don't feel like you price yourself, that AP has priced itself out of your market. There's plenty of deals out there. As far as collecting something super complete, do yourself a favor, simply ask. Because if you do buy this and you later go to resell it to one of those anal collectors that really know their shit, okay, they're going to start asking you, hey, what happened to the screwdriver or the additional Velcro strap that came with this watch? And you're going to be like, I have no idea that it even came with that. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, like, share, subscribe, do all those wonderful things that help my channel grow. And I'll see you guys next week for more watch reviews and other videos.